The final lesson in this unit is on currency exchange. Currency is the system of money that a country uses, and different countries may use different currencies. Now, when you want to change between currencies, we use something called an exchange rate. Now, these exchange rates fluctuate from day to day, and they can change frequently. They also will have a selling rate and a buying rate, which are going to be different. So that means that the rate at which you are sold the currency, so if you go to the bank and you want to buy a currency, it's going to be a different rate than if you go to the bank and want to sell it back to them for Canadian dollars. So the easiest way to convert between currencies is to use proportional reasoning. To do this, you're going to set up one ratio with the buying or selling rate and one ratio with the amount that we are looking to convert. So for example, if the selling rate for the Danish krone is 1 Canadian dollar equals 4.5207, and you were looking to convert 500 Canadian dollars, you would first say that you're looking to calculate how many Danish krones is equal to 500 Canadian, and here I've got the exchange rate. So you'll notice that on the top the units match. Here we have the Danish krones, and on the bottom is Canadian dollars. When you set up the ratio like that, you can then solve for the unknown by using cross multiplication and division. So 500 times 4.5207, and then divide by 1. And your answer is 2,260.35. So it's important that these ratios are set up properly so that the tops are the same currency and the bottoms are the same currency. The exchange rate will always be given to you in the question. So, in example 1, if you have 300 euros left when you return to Canada, you will receive the buying rate of 1 euro is equal to 1.4231 Canadian. How much Canadian will you receive? So we're looking to find out how much Canadian you will receive. So I'm going to put that on top, and I'm going to call it X because it's unknown. But you have 300 euros. So you want to change 300 euros into Canadian. I need to use the rate that was given, that 1 euro. Now remember, these need to match. So 1 euro goes on the bottom, and 1.4231 Canadian goes on top. You will then multiply across, so 300 times 1.4231, and then divide by 1. The result is that you would get $426.93 Canadian for your 300 euros. You go to the bank on Monday and purchase Australian dollars for an upcoming trip. The rate is 1 Canadian dollar is equal to 1.0374 Australian dollars. You have $1,000 Canadian. How many Australian dollars do you receive? So again, we're looking for how many Australian dollars, AUD for Australian dollars, you will get for 1,000 Canadian. Now the exchange rate is that 1 Canadian is 1.0374 Australian. Again, if you then multiply 1,000 times 1.0374 and divide by 1, you will get your answer. And in this case, your answer is $1,037.40 in Australian dollars. Now example 3 is related to example 2. And it says that if on Thursday you decide to cancel your trip, you go back to the bank to convert your Australian dollars back to Canadian. Now, like I said, when you buy currency from the bank versus when you sell it back, you will sometimes get a different rate. So if you take this amount of Australian dollars and you now want to convert it back to Canadian, I want to know how many Canadian dollars you will receive. So we want to know how many Canadian dollars you will receive for $1,037.40 Australian. Now I'm not going to use the same rate from above because this was the rate at which you purchased the money. We now need to use the buying rate at which the bank is going to buy the currency back from you. And that rate is that 1 Australian dollar is worth 0.8775 Canadian. So remember, in the beginning you started with $1,000. So let's see how much you would get back. So you're going to multiply and then divide by 1. When you do that, it's $910.32 Canadian. So you'll notice that in the process of buying the Australian dollars, but then selling them back to the bank, you started with $1,000, but then you end up losing a little bit of money when you convert it and then convert it back. And that's the difference between the buying rate and the selling rate.